Chris Matthews is the host of Hardball right here on MSNBC. And Chris, thank you so much for being here. Really wanted your perspective today because it seems to me that the president has an almost impossible task, which is to get the American people to understand his messages. We're going to get ISIS, which the American people, the polls show, want to hear, but we're not going to go in a big way militarily. How does the president do that just rhetorically?
Well, you and I understand why both are true. One is there is a visceral gut reaction as Americans to seeing our fellow Americans having their heads chopped off. Everybody can imagine having their head chopped off, and they're thinking about that. Those guys on the other side, and ISIS, knew exactly what they were doing. They were enraging us, humiliating us, getting us to do something. So we're going to react. And when we do something tonight, after the president gives his speech, they will react. This has been a chain reaction since we put the troops into Saudi Arabia, the Holy Land of Mecca. We put tens of thousands of troops in there back in 1990 because Dick Cheney said to do that. He talked the royal family into letting us desecrate the Holy Land. Out of that comes al-Qaeda. Then we go into Iraq. According to Dick Cheney and the neocons and Bush W., we knock out the Iraq government, throw the Sunnis out, de-Baathist, they become ISIS. These steps taken by both sides lead to the next step. We attack by air against ISIS, they behead our people. So the president tonight will announce a number of steps, and they'll probably be essential or necessary, or they'll certainly be popular. The question is, what will the reaction to that be? And then what will our reaction to that be? This is going to continue as it has since 1990.
Yeah, and Chris, I think that is the point, and you and I definitely agree on that, because we do have this sense that there's some great military action that our military can make a change in the Middle East that they haven't been able to do for generations. Right. And you mentioned Dick Cheney. He's back on the Hill, talking with lawmakers, talking with Republicans. Harry Reid, very skeptical of that, saying that he thinks lawmakers need to be really careful taking advice from the ultimate neocon, who he said is more responsible than anyone else for the worst foreign policy disaster in the history of the country. Is it alarming, I guess, that people are still listening to this guy on Hill at the same time the president's trying to rally them to his side?
Well, all these neocons have come out from undercover. They hid for a while when the Iraq War broke bad. I mean, Robert Kagan's back on the front page of the review section of the Wall Street Journal this Saturday. Bill Kristol's out there on Morning Joe all the time now, popping up his head. Dick Cheney's come back from hiding. They're all over the place now because here's their chance to escalate. Their answer to every problem is escalate. More firepower, more attacks, more Arabs dead on international television. And somehow out of that, there's going to be an end to this. One thing we know how to do is escalate. We know how to do that. We know how to escalate the battle between Kuwait and Saddam Hussein. We know how to escalate that. It led to al-Qaeda. Then we go from 9/11. We go, oh, we can escalate this. Don't go back just to get al-Qaeda. Let's go into Iraq. That'll escalate it further. Now we're going into Syria. Okay, we're going to go into Syria. Do we really think a bombing campaign of ISIS isn't exactly what they wanted us to do when they started beheading our people? That's what they want. They draw us into more warfare. This is very tricky because even though I can analyze this sitting here, it's easy to do what I'm doing. The hard thing is for the president to analyze it and also deal with the tremendous, visceral, gut American reaction to the sight of Americans being beheaded, which we've declared in our polling to be the biggest news story in 5 years. Well, certainly he's reacting to that, but we better be careful here. Don't react all the time in the same mechanical way that's expected by our enemy, because they will come up with a new set of tricks.